In this video, I'm going to discuss about what is the difference between disp, fprintf, as well as sprintf inbuilt functions, and the discussion focus on how they are different when we use them to output a statement or a sentence in the command window. Now, we are going to consider an example which says the area is 3.82 meter square and the length is 1.57 meter with a full stop. Okay, so we will try to print this information in the command window. And I'm going to create also a variable called area, which contains the value 3.82, as well as another variable called length, because to avoid using the same variable name as the inbuilt function, I will just use len, okay, which has the value of 1.57. Okay, now let's take a look at if we were to display this information in the command window, what can we do? We will start with using the disp inbuilt function. Disp inbuilt function stands for display. It is able to output only string or only number in its simple form. Okay, we will look at a more complicated one in the second part of the video. If it is using the simple form of disp, we can only output only string or only number, so which means it is not possible to print the sentence exactly as it is. We can only have the code, for example, disp with a string that says the area is, followed by another disp which prints the number area, and followed by the disp that prints the sentence, the length is, followed by disp, print the value in the variable length. Okay. Before I run this line, let me create these two variables in the workspace first so that I can make use of them to print the information. Now I have these two variables in the workspace, and I'm going to print this message in the command window. So this is what I get. You can see that when we use disp, it will automatically include some empty spaces. And because in its simple form, we can only separate string and the numerical value. So we can't really print it in a compact sentence format. So that's the disadvantage of disp, but it can be used very easily for simple display. Okay, so to be able to print this entire sentence as it is, we will have to use fprintf, because fprintf allows us to type the message and specify what variable we want to print. So in fprintf, in this case, I would just change the position or the location where I wanted to print the value to 0.2f, because I'm printing 2 decimal places. And the second position will be also percentage 0.2f. Okay, and the first variable that I'm going to print is the variable area. The second variable that I'm going to print is the variable len. Now, to make the sentence shows nicer, I can also put in the new line character. So let's give it a try and see. So we have this sentence here. Therefore, we can see that if we use fprintf, we can keep printing and the message can be very compact. Of course, fprintf can also be used to print the sentence or to print data into a file. So that is not the discussion that we are going to do in this video. So we are not going to look at the example to print to file. Okay, so now we can see the difference between disp and fprintf. So let's look at what does sprintf give us. Okay, so sprintf means that we are going to be able to use the fprintf features, exactly the same format, but the output will be a string. So let's run this and see what do we get as the output. Okay, so you can see here that when I use sprintf, because this inbuilt function will create a string based on this message as well as the value that we wanted to print. So you can see that it actually stores the statement as a string in this temporary variable. So we can also say that the message is equals to sprintf, and it will then store into the variable message. Okay, so sprintf doesn't really output the message in the command window. It stores the message as a string in a variable instead. So how do we make use of this? We have seen just now that disp can output only string or only number. So if we use fprintf, we will be able to create only a string. So if we use sprintf inside the disp function, we will be able to print the message. I will remove the new line character because disp itself will put some empty spacing. So you can see that now I will be able to print this information. This format is going to have an advantage if we're going to print message at the title of a figure. So let me just open up a figure to show you a quick example. So I have the figure window open. So instead of using disp, if I put title, you can see that the message is printed in the title instead, because we know that title also expect a string as input, which is exactly what sprintf is able to give. So we can also do the same thing with x label, y label, as well as legend if we want to. Okay, so that's how we could make use of sprintf together with the other function. Another way that we could make use of disp to achieve the same thing, which is printing a statement like this without using sprintf, it will be making use of matrix concatenation. That means we need to use the inbuilt function to create everything into a string format and then join them as a matrix, because string is essentially a matrix of characters. Okay, so just show you a quick example. If I would like to print this sentence using disp, but I do not want to use sprintf, it might be actually more complicated as compared to you use sprintf. So let's look at this matrix concatenation approach. It is matrix concatenation. That means I will need to create a matrix to join different type of information. So I will just put in the whole thing as a string to begin with, so that it's easier for me to make adjustment. I know that this part is supposed to be a number that comes from a variable. So the actual string will end here and starts again from here. So this is a value that's supposed to come from the variable area. And this is a number, not a string. So we cannot join elements of different format using matrix concatenation method. Therefore, I need to convert num to str. And another value is this one, which the previous message ends here and the next message starts here, including the empty space. Okay, so this value comes from the variable len, and this is a value as well. So I need to convert it to string by using num to str. So we will now have everything in string format. So in that case, the matrix concatenation will work, and we are able to create a sentence in this way using disp, as you can see in the command window output. So whether you would like to use this matrix concatenation approach or you would like to use sprintf in disp, it's up to your own preference.